mathematics cannot be just read. It has to be done. I choose a book that is authored by really great mathematicians. But first, we should develop the capability to use it properly. Hello everyone, I hope you are doing beautiful mathematics. In this particular video, I will share with you certain strategies that I use to learn mathematics. This has been very effective for me and the children that we have in Cheenta. And I think the basic structure of the strategy can be used by anyone, especially school students, if you are trying to learn some really good problem solving. So, as an example, I have shared the screen of my routine from today. So, at the beginning of the day, I start with a plan. The plan is the most important part. It takes about 3 minutes for me to do it every day, but it really puts everything into place. As a student of mathematics, I generally divide my day into 3 different parts. The first part, you can see the 3 goals, goal 1, goal 2, goal 3. So the first part is about Olympiad-related problems. So personally, I teach Math Olympiad students. I've been doing this for the last 15 years. I love the problem solving. So I continually learn and relearn and try problems from that domain. Presently, I'm working on a book called Geometry Revisited. This is a very beautiful book by Coxter and Greitzer. I worked on this book 7 to 8 years ago, but I'm revisiting this particular book right now. The way I do it is like this. I choose a book that is authored by really great mathematicians, not by some publishing house that is trying to push some contest solving book. No, a book that is authored by really great mathematicians. Coxter and Greitzer are both like that, and their book Geometry Revisited, it's a beautiful book. I decided at the beginning of the day that I'll be working on the first chapter's 8th section, chapter 1.8. I've been working on it for the last few days, so I'm here right now. And I have divided it into 2 portions. The first portion is I'll work on the theoretical part, and the second portion is I'll be working on some problems. So mathematics cannot be just read. It has to be done. That's the most important part. So I spend, let's say, 80% of my time doing problems and 20% reading a bit of theory. So that's what I did. I was looking at the Feuerbach triangle problem, or the 9-point circle problem, very close. I was trying one problem where we had to prove that something related to the Euler line. So OH square, O is the circumcenter, H is the orthocenter. OH square is equal to 9R square. R is the circumradius of the triangle, minus A square minus B square minus C square. These are the side square. Maybe you can try this problem as well. I tried this problem for some time, and then I tried another problem which is like this: A prime O. This is a parallelogram. So I tried this problem as well, and I tried a few variations of the strategies. That was first part of the day. So as a student of school, you can also start with the first goal, where you fix a very beautiful book. Spend 20% of the time on reading theory, because it's also fun to see what they have thought, and spend 80% of the time on actually solving the exercise problems. If you don't solve problems, you're not going anywhere. Okay? So I spent about, around 1 hour, 1.5 hours on this. This was started at 8:27 in the morning. So I also tend to put the time in the top left every day because, well, it gives me an idea about when I'm starting my day. So that's the first step. The second step, I am also interested in research. Maybe you already know this, that Cheenta has a very robust research program for school students and undergraduates. Sometimes university students also join us. Personally, I'm interested in an area of mathematics called geometric group theory. So the last part, the second and third goal of the day for me is devoted to research. I'll come to you for a moment. Maybe you are a school student. You can do something very similar. I'll come to that in a second, but I'll first tell you what I do. So again, for the second part of the goal, which is also related to research, I choose a book. Again, choose a book. That's a very important thing, which is authored by some of the greatest mathematicians of our times. Always choose really good books. In this particular case, I have chosen a book called Office Hours with a Geometric Group Theorist. It's a very beautiful book. It is authored by a host of writers. Margaret is, I think, one of them. I think Margaret and Farb also wrote a book on mapping class groups, if I'm not wrong. It's a very, very beautiful book. So many authors contributed to this book. It's called Office Hours with a Geometric Group Theorist. Beautiful book. Even if you're a high school or an undergraduate level student, if you love group theory, if you love geometry, if you love topology, then please try that, okay? So I've chosen that book just to go through some of the previous material about geometry group theory, some of the preliminaries, some of the fundamentals. And this is the sort of the chapter I'm in. It's called chapter 5. It's about the ping pong lemma. So I spent some amount of time on that. If you notice, maybe I erased it. There was a single tick. Basically, I read through some of it, but I have not yet tried to prove some of the theorems or lemmas in that. They have the proofs, but these are like exercises. I sometimes try to reprove a theorem or a lemma just for the sake of it, to understand if I know the craft. Knowing the craft is very important. So I erased it a moment ago, but there was a single tick, means I have not yet tried on my paper some of those theorems. So it's very important when you read a chapter, you go ahead and prove some of the exercise problems or the theorems that are in there on your own, okay? So what can you do as a school student for the research part? Well, if you are enrolled in one of our research programs, this part is sometimes known as building a skill. Building a skill. So it's very important that you go ahead and build a solid mathematical skill that is related to your research. So I'll give you one example. Many of the students of Cheenta, high school students, they work on machine learning problems, projects that involve machine learning. Maybe you can pick a book. Your advisor will obviously give you references. Pick a book on linear algebra or pick a book on vector calculus, because machine learning to a certain extent is just that. Pick a book on that, a really, really good book, and spend time on that particular book. That is your goal too. Related to research, build the skill. Okay, that's the second part. Okay, now comes the third part, which is the most fun, and this is the most interesting part for me in a day. That is reading a paper. Now, reading mathematical papers can be really, really, really intense. You probably won't understand what the author is trying to say. Maybe the author has skipped some detail. So you have to fill in the detail. You have to struggle with your friend or your colleague. You have to sort of bounce ideas. So basically I started that session on 3/28, which is in the afternoon. I started working on a paper. Like, I've been working on the paper for some time. This is by, there are multiple authors, but one of the main author is Baudon. And I'm working on section 3 of the paper. So this is related to a problem that we have been trying for some time. It is about hyperbolicity and embedding of hyperbolic planes on certain types of groups. It's a very famous and old problem. I've been trying this for quite some time with my friends. I'm not yet successful, but I'm learning a lot and having a lot of fun. So the third part of the day is always read a paper. But again, as you can see, we don't read a paper just by reading it. It's not a storybook. It's not a literature to be read in that way. It's mathematics. So you have to get your hands dirty. You have to draw diagrams. You have to make calculations. You have to, make certain conjectures. You try to understand what's going on. Many hours are spent just to understand the words in a proof, just to understand the definition of those words and trying to put the pieces together. So that's the third part. Now, as a student of mathematics, what can you do? Now, maybe you already know this. Cheenta has this threefold path toward the path to Ivy League program. The first part is Olympiad. So when you start your day, you fix a book, make it more precise, fix a section of the book, spend 80% time on problems and 20% on theory. So theory means you read whatever the author has written, and hopefully you are reading a wonderful book. Then you will learn a lot from that. You will learn how the author thinks. Okay, that's the first part. That's the first part. Book, fix the section of the book that you'll be reading and you'll be working on. That's the first part of the day. That's number one. And number two, the second portion of the preparation, this is the path to Ivy League, right? The path to Ivy Leagues. Well, universities like Stanford are not Ivy League, but we just club all of that together. The entire path to some of the premier universities of the world, that needs to be very well planned. That also needs to be inspiring. So we at Cheenta developed this particular method where you do three things: Olympiad, research, and leadership. And all of that is actively mentored toward the Ivy League universities. And we have a lot of fun on the way, learn a lot of things. So the second part is research. So if you are involved in a research program at Cheenta, then ask your advisor about, again, a theoretical book from where you can solve problems. That's the second. So this is goal one. This is goal two. So fix what book related to research you will be reading and focus your attention on that. It's the second goal. And the third goal, which is obviously, for me, it's the most fun, you spend time reading a paper. Now, of course, your advisor will be suggesting a ton of papers which will be related to your research problem. One thing I'll just say, and at this point, do not use ChatGPT or other large language models to process your paper. I'll tell you why. This is a very powerful tool. We should use it. Large language models are very powerful tools. We should use it. But first, we should develop the capability to use it properly. So if I give you let's say a machine gun, you wouldn't know what to do with it, right? You need to actually know the intermediate steps. Only then you'll be able to use that advanced technology. Otherwise, you may misfire and kill yourself. So this is the problem that we are facing. We see this amongst the students all across the world. Students are extremely excited by these large language models and they're continuously using it. But they're forgetting the first important step, to enjoy the learning process themselves. They're very excited about the end result, but they're not enjoying the process themselves. Even if there is a car that can travel, let's say 100 kilometers per hour, if you're running, you should enjoy the run. You'll probably never run as fast as the car, but that's not the point. The point is to enjoy the run. So make sure to learn the stuff, enjoy the process of learning, and then after several years of doing that, start using large language models and other advanced technology. Like we are using something called Lean. You can Google it. It's a beautiful proof formalization system. So there's a lot of stuff out there. But first, learn to learn. Learn to enjoy learning. Okay? Thinking, asking questions, those kind of stuff. Okay. So 3 steps: Olympiad, research, and paper reading. And you divide your day in that, and you start the day with this plan. The plan, 3 minutes plan. If you start every day, you have a 6 hour, or 5 hour, or whatever number of hours you have decided. If you decide very precisely, this is what I want to do, then your focus will be there. You will know exactly what to do, and you will be able to complete it. And you will feel great when you have completed it. All right. So I hope you learned something. I shared my journey with you. Keep on doing beautiful mathematics. I will see you in the next one. Bye.